welcome to PBA at Noon. I'm Paul Benwell and I'm joined by my colleague Sophie Caesar. Today we have with us Stratabound Minerals Corp, which trades on the TSX Venture under the symbol SAMBOB, SB. Stratabound is focused on taking advantage of exceptional opportunities to acquire overlooked high potential gold and copper projects in premium North American mineral districts. They have two high-grade gold assets, the Golden Culvert in the Yukon Territory, one assay result of up to 320 grams per ton, and the newly acquired McIntyre Brook project in New Brunswick. They've completed a $6.7 million financing in October of 2020 and are fully financed and debt-free. And due to the overwhelming interest they just announced another small financing of $2 million. I would like to introduce to you the President and CEO, Kim Tyler. Welcome, Kim. We're happy to have you today. Please start whenever you're ready, and we'll have some questions for you at the end. Thanks.
Thank you, Paul. So I'm going to share the screen now and bring up the presentation. So let's get started here. So thank you very much. Thank you everybody for listening in on Stratabound and catching up with our story. This is actually a picture taken right out of the campsite. We do have rainbows up there and we're looking for pots of gold. That's absolutely true. Next slide is our forward-looking statement, and I will be making forward-looking statements as I go through here. At a high level, what is it all about? I would have to say that for investors, Stratabound is relatively unknown. We were a shell in 2017, and I jumped into the company, left my other consulting job to put a project into a shell, and we raised $1 million in 2018 on the core project. We got the Golden Culvert project in the Yukon Territory, and as Paul mentioned, assay results at 320 grams per ton just recently released. It's high-grade gold, and it's in a good district, and it's where things should be happening soon. We also picked up something in another area, McIntyre Brook in northern New Brunswick, not an area known for gold. In New Brunswick, really not too much, except for Galway's the only one in the news getting attention on it. But I've always been looking at jurisdictions as a geologist where, as Wayne Gretzky would say, where the puck is going to be next, where the next big hot area is going to be. And I think we're in the two areas there that look really good and a very early stage. And for everybody else, we plan to go places with the company, and we aren't very well known, which is why I'm out marketing right now. We also have a copper-cobalt-silver deposit in New Brunswick. It's a project that's been with the company for a long time. It's a small deposit, and it has possibilities of making small profit on a mini mining project. We've got a strong management team. Every company says we got a strong management team, but our team is composed of about 3 guys about my age in their late 60s and 70s that have done it all. And we don't necessarily have to work to earn a living anymore, but we're doing what we're doing because we enjoy it. We like these fun projects, we like building things. We've seen every aspect of exploring for them, building them, operating them, shutting them down, seeing bankruptcy, seeing turnarounds, seeing everything, every aspect, good, bad, and the ugly of mining. And we want to get on a project and a team together that can win it here. And we've also brought some new management to the team, which we'll talk about eventually. Some younger guys in there too, very well respected in the industry, particularly in the investment community. That's behind our 6.7 million financing. These guys came on board, they liked the project, and introduced us to a lot of U.S. money, basically New York. You'll notice that Coast Capital invested a good chunk. We'll get to that at the end. They're a semi-private investment banking company in New York City. And I'll be talking more about this key thing lead up here, very exciting results we just got lately. Even for me, having been a geologist in the business, in the mining business for quite some time, I was impressed with the results we finally got on the surface sampling we did. Just finished some diamond drilling, so heads up, we'll be looking at results coming out shortly. And we plan to grow. We're an exploration company, but we have everything in our team here to build them and operate them, as I just said. So we plan to look at some other assets going forward and actually build an operating company as well as an exploration company. That's what we want to do, is take our projects to that phase where either they're a ridiculous amount of money if somebody wants to buy them off of us, or we run them ourselves. But that's where we're taking our company. So Golden Culvert, what's the funny name, Golden Culvert, but it was discovered by a young man in 1984, reaching into a creek under a culvert, and he found gold in his cup, looking for some cold water and to drink, and eventually, many years later, in 2008, ended up with the discovery of a high-grade gold vein right on surface after many years of looking at it. So orogenic gold, that just means mountain building. These deposits are formed in around 130 million years ago when continents were colliding and the rocks buckled and fluids got mineralized and they deposited near surface. So when you hear the word orogenic from a geologist, it means mountain building time. So that's what that means. We have an outcrop that I saw in 2016, very impressed me very much. It was about the size of a transport truck with quartz veins in it, running 22.8 grams and as low as 7, but no bad values. These are very good values, or high-grade values, and numerous of them, like dozens of them, sampled by different people. So that intrigued me. But it sat inside a very large 3-kilometer-long gold soil anomaly. That's a kind of an anomaly that any exploration company would go in and do more work if they saw that. But that sits inside a 24-kilometer-long mineralized trend, which we've only looked at 20% of it. So we don't even know what's in the rest of those 21 kilometers of strike. We've done very little work, with one exception that stood out last year. We have an all-season road, goes right through the claim group. So sometimes projects, you hear the Yukon or NWT, you think, oh, remote, that's going to cost lots of money. And no, it doesn't. We've got an all-season road that services the Cantung mine, and it goes right through the middle of our property. And we got a 5-kilometer road we put right up to the drill site, so you can drive right up to the drill. So no helicopters, no high-cost drilling. And the Yukon's full of resource companies out there that look, it's mining companies and drilling companies, exploration people. It's just, that's the meat and the bread and butter. We have a 10-year class 3 exploration permit, goes to 2026. That's unheard of. That allows us to do up to 25,000 meters of drilling on our project anywhere we want, anytime we want. We don't have to go back like other jurisdictions I know of. You get only 1 or 2 year permits, and you got to go back, and it takes ages to get them approved. And meanwhile, you're trying to finance, and your money goes away. No, we've got confidence that our permit's going to be in place, so we can continue our work. And the final thing that really brought me to look at this property in the first place, Wayne Gretzky comment, where the puck's going to be. We're in the Eastern Yukon. You hear all the news about the Western Yukon, like white gold and all the excitement over there. And that's pretty good, because it's very exciting and there's a lot of work going on there. We're in a quieter corner over here. And what intrigued me with this 5,400 gram per ton discovery in 2003, and a stunning discovery. And that ended up being explored for a while. It's just recently landed in the hands of Seabridge Gold. It's about 25 kilometers south of us and a bit parallel. So we know we're in a good jurisdiction with some high grade gold around. On the property itself, I'm trying not to get too much into the weeds here, but it's 6 parallel gold bearing veins. I say that's 6 opportunities to win with a 130 meter wide gold vein corridor. They're vertically dipping and they're open across nearly a kilometer strike and open in all directions as far as you know. And that sits inside that 3 kilometer soil anomaly we talked about that we really haven't looked at too much. We took some time at the end of 2019 to go hunt down a sample that had been collected historically and see what that was all about. And popped in a helicopter. About an hour later, we find a gold vein that's running 0.29 grams per ton over 2 meters, and it's 7 kilometers away. We don't even know what's in between this, and it's lining up. It connects with where we're going. This is what I knew at the end of 2019. We in 2017, we acquired the property. 2018, we raised $1 million, and we did this work. We put these roads in, and we put trenches in, and did some trenching, and we also did a bit about 8 diamond drill holes. This will be a diamond drill hole station here. And this is about what we knew. We got some pretty good holes, 8 holes. Every 6 of those 8 holes hit 2 structures that we knew of, and every one they did hit gold, got gold values up to about 0.25 grams. Normally, when you do an exploration project in gold, you're going to get some duds. You're going to get nothing at all, and then you might get a vein, and then you get value, and so on. And that's typically called the nugget effect, where you get nuggety values. What I found here, which intrigued me, was you get very homogenized values, very consistent grades, relatively high grade, but not super high grade, and that was pretty good. But we also noticed something that. And the main outcrop that I talk about, a school bus, is right about here. You can see the trenches and the values we got out of it, up to 7.8 grams and 19 grams. It's pretty good values. In 2019, we went back and resampled a trench. You got the highest value at 95 grams. That's nearly 3 ounces to the ton over 1.5 meters, and sitting about 24 grams over 6 meters. And that's nearly about 3/4 of an ounce right there alone. So it's pretty good values. But I noticed these float samples, and what these are just pieces of quartz that are sitting on surface, and they're mineralized, and they look like they've got sulfides and they might run, but there are only 3 of them. And it occurred to me, and my digression is that we're in a part of the planet that is 450 million years ago, 10,000 to 14,000 years ago, was not glaciated. We didn't have continental glaciers a mile high like every North America was. This was once, and the water got sucked up out of the ocean. This was once a land bridge that connected Asia to North America. And first indigenous people crossed over and settled into North America. So why is that important? Well, it means that these glaciers that did exist were scraping away the surface rocks and taking them hundreds and thousands of kilometers into the southern US, and then retreating and leaving clay and all kinds of till on the surface and covering everything. That didn't happen here. So what we're finding on this float is material that pretty much crumbled down from up in the air where it was once, and eroded and just settled pretty much in place. So I said, well, I'm going to go back and sample where these are the vein structures we see here that were interpreted, by the way. And I said, and I could follow from this outcrop back in 2016, this float, and I took it up to another outcrop up here that ran about 8 grams. So I'm going to sample that this year. And these are the results we got. And this to me is extraordinary. And I know it sounds promotional over the top, but I still think it's an amazing thing. I have seen ore piles underground or in open pits and mines that don't have as many good grades as this. You typically get a lot more duds, and the duds would be less than detection limits at 0.01 grams per ton. And there's only 2 in all the 92 samples we took. There's one up here and there's one over here, and that's it. And every other one is significant. This teal colored is anomalous values, but just sub-economic. And anything above 0.25 would be considered open pit grade economic grades, and anything above 0.15 would be considered underground economic grades. And there's an awful lot of red in here. And then we get some values of 147 grams, 118 grams of visible gold, 92.9 grams of visible gold. And the highest value here, 320. The purple are the very high values. They're very, very high grade. And you see them distributed all over the place. And these boulder floats will take you right back to the vein. The main area in the valley, we didn't sample too much. There's more stuff that's tumbled down on top and organic material. So we got the material that's just been sitting loose and easy to grab. So, and even right back here to 18.2 grams per ton. 64% of the samples, 70% were between 0.25 and 320, average about nearly 20 grams per ton. So, okay, enough said. I think you got the point. This is a pretty impressive thing. You don't hear this type of thing too much. And at this point, when we press released this a couple of weeks ago, our share price had a 52-week high of 38 cents. And we sold about, I think it was 700,000 shares that day, and it's drifted down, I think, around 27 cents today. And so a quick idea of the third view here. We get the third dimension. You're seeing on the surface here, the mountain surface, and the veins are vertical dipping. The veins are about 2 meters wide. They run up to 60, 95 grams, 320 grams, as we said. But they sit inside a broader halo of lower grade. That would be amenable to open pit or bulk mining underground. We're getting 2.5 grams over 33 meters in this case. And you see the values of 95 grams. Just everything, the point here is that all the evidence, whether it's drilling, surface trenching, or soil anomaly, everything we do confirms these values, and they're very consistently good values. This is obviously some core. I love to show people show rocks around or what we're doing. But this in the center here would be the main vein, and you can see the 60 grams and the 0.8 grams. But the important point is that the wall rock runs as well too, 14.2. These are all very good bulk underground or open pit type grades. I mentioned that at the end of 2019, we took a helicopter pop down. Here's the main road. The main all-season road runs through here. Cantung Mine's about here. But we took a helicopter ride from the camp and landed in here to check out 100 ppb soil anomaly. And within about an hour, we find a vein right here, and it's running 0.92 grams. Not super high grade. I don't care. That's very significant, and it's 7 kilometers away, and anything can happen in between. With very little effort, we find something. So we're looking forward to exploring along there, but our real work is going to be focusing around the center area we talked about, the roughly 1 kilometer. We want to see if we can get that into a resource sometime next year. So what's next? And that's the point. We got 17 drill holes we just completed, and you're going to be hearing results on those. I expect the first assay results in the next couple of weeks. We completed 8 before in 2018, so 25 in total, plus 24 trenches. We've had a consultant out there already to inspect the site, doing due diligence. We expect a 43-101, the first one in next year. We're and in that we're looking at anywhere right now between 200,000 to 500,000 ounces for a start, and upwards of that. And subject to that, we'll do more drilling to expand on that and upgrade that resource from an inferred to measured, indicated, and so on. We're going to drill deeper. We only drilled about 150 meters deep. These can be very, very deep deposits as well as long deposits. And then we'll explore the rest of the property. We'll fill in the soil sampling that hasn't been done on the rest of the property, prospecting, and some UAV drone type of work, maybe some geophysics, and get ahead on the long lead items that take time, metallurgical and environmental baseline studies. We also have a property in New Brunswick. I'm not sure how much time I've got left. I just want to quickly talk to this one. This is a case here where 350 and 450 million years ago, there's one giant continent, 2 continents collided, and where they collided is a suture zone. And that suture zone is where one continent buckled under the other one. Again, it's like the orogenic discussion here. We have deposits all along them. Then the continents split apart. So we have Ireland and Great Britain over here, separated by the North Atlantic spreading ridge. Now that was once part of Newfoundland, and you can see that Dalradian's Kruger-Ganault is a very high grade mine, just recently gone into production, very successful. And on our side of the pond, we'll see Anaconda that's been pecking away for a long time. They're still going strong. Maritime Gold has got the hammer down deposit. Marathon is a real success story, getting upwards of 3 million ounces. These are proper, and Holbrook's a former producer at my company, used to work, a former company I worked on a long time ago. But these are the lands that big companies had walked over and stepped over these gold deposits over and over again. The Tex and the Randas And it's surprising that today, and the other great success story you'll know is Newfound Gold. They were not even existing a year ago. They're nearly a 700 million market cap on the discoveries they found in that area. And the people, the locals have been known about that gold for a long time. It's just that now it's getting attention. You take that suture line along, it'll take you up to northern New Brunswick, and nobody's looking up there. And there's been no interest in gold until recently, when the government started supplying maps and plans and results on soil sampling stream sediments, noting there's gold here. And prospectors have been in there. The next guy's in, and they showed me some stuff they had, and I was very impressed. We picked up a property that had that it's similar to what I said in the Yukon. I just talked about 46 grab samples from trenches. That 40 of them are significant, between 0.2 and 41, very high grade, in a place where there's not supposed to be any gold or nobody's looking. So we acquired this property in blue, and other news coming out. We just finished a soil sampling, 2,500 samples across this property. I won't go into it. Lots of good values on here, virtually unexplored. The other company to look into is Puma Expiration. They just picked up the property beside us, and here's the results they're getting: 100 grams, 50 grams, not 2 grams, 9 grams, 40 grams, right along strike of us. We think we're in a new area. It's pretty exciting, very early stage, and not very expensive. Highway right through the property, and 60 kilometers from Bathurst, New Brunswick. And a quick note here is we've got a copper cobalt one. I won't talk to it. We just finished some drilling on there. We're looking at that one as possibly a small mining project where we could custom mill it or direct ship the ore, high grade ore. We're looking at getting 3% copper, 5% copper out of that resource, and perhaps earning a few $1 million on that. It's either that attractive to that, or somebody else might want to pick it off of us too, but it's worth working on, certainly. Copper just hit $360 a pound today, so I'm keen on it. And catalyst coating, I already talked about it. We got drill results coming, soil results coming, and we got 15 holes completed coming on our cobalt copper property. Our team, here's Terry Byberg, myself, Mike Robb, all plus 40-year experienced guys, and new people on the board. Gary Nassa, 25 years, John Hill, 30 years, Jaguar, he's the VP Exploration for Jaguar, basically. And our new chairman is the CFO of Jaguar Mining, Hashim Ahmed. These guys are well connected in the investment worlds, both in New York and in Toronto and various other places. They've been successful at making money for other people, and they're on our board. And also Chad Tappendorf, who's a partner with Coast Capital. A quick talk about who's our major investors, and we're actually closer to 80 million now. We've had an accelerated clause and warrants come due, and we're getting those exercised right now and some stock options. So we're over 80 million. Coast Capital, they bought a big chunk of that last financing. They're at 30%, nearly, with a partially diluted. And Jarrett Canyon Canada is a private gold mining company owned by 100% by Eric Sprott, and it operates a Jarrett Canyon mine for the last 5 years, a very successful gold mining operation, private. And they own a big chunk of us, and every time we've had a financing, they've stayed in, and they're at about 18% partially diluted. I myself own about 1.5 million shares. I have about 4 million stock options. Together, management's about 5%. So tightly held. We also, as Paul said, trade both on the venture exchange and SB, and we're also realizing that, again, Americans are very, very interested in gold mining projects in Canada. I've never seen such interest in my career before. With all that money coming in, the hard dollars coming in for our own financing, but never mind that. We also noticed, I didn't even know we had a symbol on the pinks, and we traded over nearly 1 million shares on there. We're going to upgrade that pinks to the QB and make it a little easier for outside money coming in. And that's about it. I'm done, and that's it for my talk. I hope I didn't go over time. Thank you.
No, thank you, Kim. You did wonderful. We have quite a few questions, so let's get started. The first one is, which project is going to be your main focus?
Oh, the Yukon one is our main focus. Absolutely. That's where we spent probably close to 1.5 million there this year, and I expect we'll probably double that next year. We can get up to 3 drills going. I expect that's what we'll do next year. So it's definitely, that's the one.
Great. So you explained the warrants. That's great. Can you talk a bit about the Yukon property, the infrastructure on site?
Oh, it's besides the road, there's nothing else. I would say that the Cantong mine is 10 kilometers away, and it's got a mill and the tailings, and it operated since the 60s. But on the site, it's basically the road. We've looked at, when I stepped on the property in 2016, and I'm an operator and miner, and I've been actually a general manager. I've crossed over into the dark side for me. But as soon as I got on the property, and I felt like, I've talked to even the sampling we just did this, I felt like I'm walking on an ore pile here. Like this is a naturally concentrated muck pile. Is natural. So I started looking at things like, what would you do for power, and so on, so on and so forth. You get a lot of wind. We're going to try to go as green as we can. And by the way, that's going to be a hobby horse of mine. I believe mining can be really respectful of the environment and take advantage of green energy because it's cheap, particularly in these locations. It's costly to run diesel, and who wants to do it anyway? So we've got that. We've got something called run of river. We've got very high elevations. nearly roughly about 1,000 meters in elevation. We got streams coming off and groundwater coming out. There are hot springs in the area. There's geothermal opportunities. We did some drilling and managed, and this is like, we're looking at 10 below up there mining, and just down in the ground, we're getting 19 degrees C from the water circulating. So we got all these things I want to throw into the ultimate dream mine of the future. I've got that in my mind where we're going to go and do this all the best way we possibly can. It saves money, really. That's why it's the best part.
Well, not only that, I think it also taps into a new investor base that's looking for, green opportunities. We need to mine, so we might as well be, conscious about it.
We have to mine, and we have to be conscious about it. And the last thing in the world I want to leave is a legacy. I'm hoping this is the project I'm working on that takes me to retirement, and I'm going to have a lot of fun with it. But last thing I want is a legacy where there's a mess left behind. I want it to be something there after we're gone, and it might be, I don't know, greenhouses in the Yukon. I mean, it's nutty stuff, but it's doable. It's not that nutty. It's not as nutty as settling on Mars.
True. So you discussed a bit about the drill results. What's the time frame? When do you expect those?
Any day. We've been told the labs, our assays have been in the labs for 8 weeks. I was told when they went in, and that's a long wait. The assay labs are very backed up with cannabis blowing out and suddenly money coming to the juniors. That snake trying to swallow an egg. The egg is in the assay labs, and now everybody's backed up in the labs, and they're trying to get their stuff done like we are. So we're at the 8-week period. It was 8 to 10 weeks. So I'm expecting stuff any day, the first stuff coming through. It also means we'll be releasing results in batches as they come. So we'll be issuing news, I guess, over the next 3 months into February, March. So
what was your deepest hole, as this looks like open pit or near surface?
Our deepest hole to date is 150. I've drilled deeper than that. We're down about 200 meters now from surface. Again, we were drilling 6 structures where I thought I had 2 years ago. So it's a bit of a hard one to figure. But I just had a train of thought I lost when I was talking about it. Sorry, ask the question again. There's something else.
Sorry, it was the deepest hole, and it looked like it was open pit or near surface.
Yeah, well, that's what I talked about. That's what I like, the optionality of open pit and surface. I mentioned that the veins are about 2 meters wide on average. That's excellent width for underground mining. Long hole mining is very standard type of nothing different about that. Very cheap method. And I mentioned that the wall rock runs up to 7 meters wide. We got 6 of these things. So there's open pit. There's also bulk underground. You can mine very cheap mining methods called VCR, vertical crater retreat. They're big. They do it in the base metals mines a lot, and not so much in gold. But there's that opportunity. And as you go deeper, things cost more. So you can get into the long hole mining, like I said, the 2 meter wide stuff. I'm going to point out you're behind me. I guess that's the mountain, but there's the road coming up behind me. But I guess I should have made that. I'm not actually out at the site. I'm just sitting in front of it.
Well, it looks great. This brings me to my next question, which what would be your CapEx for being up north for a mine?
Well, I have to dodge that one. It's just way too early. But I'll tell you what, we have a road right to the site. Oh, and that road that comes up to the site is one of the 3 roads that the Yukon has slated for a $370 million upgrade between them and the feds to access mines, some deposits further to the north, some zinc deposits. So road access is awesome. The rest of it, I mean, the Ring of Fire, I always point out, my best friend Al Coots runs that one. He's a very good guy, but that's a tough one. It's remote, and you're hearing that one gets a lot of attention for will they ever get that built and the remoteness of it. We're not remote. You can drive right there. Watson Lake's 250 kilometers away. It's got everything you need. I can't give you an answer on that because it's way too early to determine that.
So I have another question.
If anybody wants to ask, if they want to do their own research, they can look into other projects that just started up, like Victoria Gold just started up. It's different entirely. My personal preference is to go for something very small, to very low capex, very, very small, get some cash flow in the company, pay off your bills, and then build outwards. That's the real way to go. Some companies go big or go home. And I say, if you go big, you may never have a home when you're done.
How would you process the gold?
Well, again, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We haven't done the metallurgy work yet, so I don't know entirely, but we believe it's very fine gold, and it seems to be free gold, free milling, which means a gravity circuit would work very, very well. The only thing I can go by is that work's been done at the Three Aces project. It's 25 kilometers south. We expect it's very similar, same kind of a deposit, and I think they got 85% or something gravity-wise. And in fact, they've gone to the point of they built a concentrator in Watson Lake, and they have a refinery, and they have a mint. And if you follow, that was Golden Predator, and they were actually taking from that knot of gold. Every year they're bulk mining a bit out of it and actually making coins and selling those. So, I only wish, but if we get half of that or even a quarter of it, I'd be happy with it. But it sounds like it's going to be probably a large component will be gravity, which is a pretty inexpensive way to do it, and see what happens to the rest.
So will there be a 43-101 done on the
Yes.
property?
Yes, we have a technical report now. All it is, it's a qualifying. All that means is it talks about drilling. There's no resource on it. But that's our plan, is that in 2021, and that's what the purpose of the drilling is, and the trenching. I said that we've got 24 trenches, 25 drill holes. And I've had a consultant up there. He says, yeah, you got the right density of information. We're drilling 50 meters apart. He says, you got the right density, just get the results. If they're like the results we already had, there's a really good opportunity for a first resource estimate next year. Inferred. If I get an inferred, this is the lowest quality, I'm happy with that. It gives me a target for people to get an opportunity to persuade everybody to go back and drill some more.
Excellent. Is the permitting process done quickly, and are there any Indigenous issues?
It's like everywhere. The First Nations communities, we're at the border of 2 of them, and every year we do work, I send a letter in and I invite myself out to meet with them, and they haven't really gotten back to me too much. But if you realize that the Yukon is like 40,000 people, and most of those are Indigenous people, and that the backbone and what the economy of most of it is mineral resources and exploration and so on. Except for tourism, there's a second one. I find comparably to places I've worked in Ontario, and I've been very successful with First Nations consultations in Ontario, but the folks up there are all around business and what works. So that's been good. And I also like the Yukon for the fact that the Yukon government takes its responsibility for the duty to consult, which is the Crown's responsibility. It's not on the back of the proponents and the business people, like other jurisdictions try to shove it onto them. It makes it a horrible mess, and things get all out of whack. Here they do it, and there's always jockeying around for who can get what they want. The politics exists, but I don't blame anybody for trying to get a piece of the pie. The resources are in their backyard or part of their traditional land, so it should be.
Excellent. So are there any COVID restrictions that you're experiencing?
Yeah, like I live in Sudbury, Ontario, but yeah, this summer, and I've been in the project running them every year, but they have a restriction in the Yukon. You have to self-isolate for 14 days. And we put in a plan. If you work in certain sectors like we do, you can put in a plan. And the plan was we're staying on site, not going anywhere for 14 days. And that's how we managed it. So, and there were no issues with COVID up there for us. So, but that is a restriction. Fortunately, as I said, I was able to get 2 drills in June, and this is in the middle of this, because the flip side of that is that there's people idling up there. There's people can't come in to do work, so these drills are idle. And I said I need a drill. I actually got 2. I was pretty happy with that. So in some ways, it worked in our benefit.
And then to wrap it up, would you joint venture the New Brunswick project?
Yes, it's not core, and it wasn't in the beginning, but I saw it has value, and there's value to be had out of it. It could be joint ventured, it could be sold. And as I said, we're not afraid of mining. It's what we do and enjoy. So there's actually, I'm looking at targeting somewhere 50,000, 100,000 tons of 3 to 5% copper. And we've been in touch with people that market this around the world, and you can throw it on a truck, 20 minutes here in Bathurst Deepport, and sell it overseas somewhere for whatever you can make for it. So, the Five Guys Mining Company, I'm looking at getting just a small project, but it's there for somebody if they're interested in it. It makes sense for somebody who's gathering up a lot of projects, say in New Brunswick and a central mill. That would make sense for some. That's not what we want to do, but we'll do something.
Excellent. Paul, did you have any questions for Kim?
Just a couple. Kim, is there any historical data on this site? From previous people, or is this all brand new from you?
This is what I love about that neighborhood. No, it's so unknown. It's another one of those places that gold was just. The story is this. It's a really fun story. 2 of the prospectors that we auctioned it from, prospectors own it. No other company had been on this property before. And when I went out to look at it in 2016, the government judge said, "Have you heard of the gold at Culvert?" And I said, "No, it's not on my list." I was looking at 20 different companies, the usual ones. And I said, "What's it doing in the East Yukon?" So I went and looked, and I talked about the outcrop, being impressed with all that. But the story was that when he's in 1984, Bob Scott, one of the prospectors, he's the guy that was, as he said, not feeling great after having spent the night in the Grizzly Bar in Canton. He was a Canton employee, and his job was to plow the road and clear the culverts. So he leaned down and he's with his coffee cup, and that's where he finds flakes of gold. And everybody to tell you, there's no gold here. Like, there's no gold here. Don't go look. There's no gold here. And I love it when I hear that, because that's where I want to go. So 20 years later, he comes back. He left. He comes from the Ottawa Valley. He comes back and hooks up with his partner, Gary Lee. And they go back and spend about 3 years up to 2008 panning up the stream. These guys are literally old-timey prospectors with the beards and all, and they look really authentic, and they really are. So they find the outcrop in 2008, which is 5 years after the 5,401 gram discovery was. And that's a downturn in the market when they find it. Nobody's interested. No major companies have even looked at it, or even juniors. So I was stunned when I went in there and I said, what's this still doing here? Why does nobody have this? So that's kind of the history. To answer Paul, a couple of juniors did come in and did some soil sampling, and that was a time, and they ran out of money because of bad time, nobody could raise money. To answer your question, no, very little information on it. And that's what I walked into and said, what is this doing here? Thank you very much. And we're able to conclude this deal and push it forward. I'm very, very pleased with that. For me, what I do, it's a chance in a lifetime. And I had to go see what's under the hood of this thing. So,
which brings me to my next question. How much drilling do you plan for 2021?
Yeah, I get that question a lot. I gotta go back and see how we did. We never drilled this late into the season in October. Our permit only allows us to drill because that's the way the guys asked for it. It could have been all year, but that's the way they asked for it, from June 1 to October 15th. So I'm limited there, and I'm limited to 15 people in camp, which means a maximum of 3 drills. So we probably could get maybe 6,000 meters this year, but I'm not sure. I'll have to go back and check how we did this year too. But that might be the limit. Now, we could drill year round. The weather's not the hindrance. It's more of our permit. And we can get our permit amended, not a problem. But there isn't I get this a lot. We don't have a need for 20 drills there yet. We're not a Cisco windfall, and I don't want to do that. I would rather build a resource and build it out and do it. I'm not suggesting they're doing anything wrong. Just that I like learning, as we go, and really accurately point your drills where you want to put them. So we're not at that stage for year-round drilling.
Okay. So the cash that you've just raised, plus the small one that you just announced, you've got warrants that are being exercised now. So how far would the cash that you have on hand take you?
Well, without even this raise, we're good for 2 or 3 years easily. And it's mostly all hard dollars. And that's really nice. Flow through, you typically don't get investors that are very loyal. They want to get their tax out and they're gone. It's good. We can understand that. But this money that we just brought in is also people that are long-term investors, and they follow the plan. Like, let's build something that might take you a couple of years and get over that curve of the speculation part of what's there and get to the part where we build something. And that's
then my final question. I mean, this is a great presentation, Kim, and with all the cash that you have and you can move forward, you're not coming back to the market. That's a great a great quality to have. I mean, are all the properties yours? Are they leased, or are you going to have them like forever?
Well, the quick one on the New Brunswick copper cobalt is 100%. No NSRs. That's ours, so we can do whatever we want with it. The other 2 are optioned from prospectors.
Okay.
We're in year 3 in the Yukon in particular. We're in year 3 of a 5-year plan. We got more than enough money to pay for all this, payments every year. It's basically lease to purchase. And we got more than enough money to buy it out right now if we wanted to, but we don't really want to do that. We'll pay it.
All right. So my final question, your guesstimate, how long to production?
They say 10 years to discovery to production, with lots of halts in between. This is discovered in 2008, sat for a long time. If like right now, I'd say probably, given the way that, to be honest, they used to say 10, I'd say it's 15 or 20 with the regulatory regime. That's the problem. The red tape you got to go through, and a lot of back pressure from, and probably reasonably so. The mining industry's not done a good enough job, or we've got a lot more support, but you get a lot of pressure from environmental groups and whatnot, and so on. So I don't think we got that much issue in the Yukon as other jurisdictions. But 10, 15 years to a production thing and that's really now. Having said that, Atlantic Gold I think got into production in 2 years.
Wow.
And they sold it, and that's from nothing to something. And then sold it for $700 and some million to St. Barbara, and that's in Nova Scotia.
Yep.
And that's a tough jurisdiction. So I'm not, I don't want to speculate, but.
Well, obviously, you're a miner as well as an explorer, but you want to take it to production. That's I guess.
Yeah, we're working to fast track. I think that's a little bit different. If you notice the flavor of what I was going through, I said permitting, I said metallurgical work. Some people might wait at 5 or 6 years and love to get drill intersections to stun and amaze the day traders, but that's not what we're doing. We're trying to go as fast as we can, but sensibly too. So we're going to look at the permitting as we go forward and that baseline work. I don't want to speculate too much. It could be 3-5 years. It could be 10 years. We'll see where she goes. But clearly, we're aiming for, I say fast tracking, but I don't want it to mean we're taking shortcuts either.
No, I understand. That's well, very well answered. Thank you. I appreciate that. That's it for me. I mean, personal opinion, great story. You've got a great project in front of you. I like the fact that you're not coming back to the market for more cash. You've got plenty on hand, so that's all a good sign. So again, thanks very much, Kim, for today. Much appreciated. Thanks to everyone for joining in. Everyone be safe, be careful, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Sophie. Thank Paul.
Take
Bye-bye.
care.
Take care.